Hello, I'm Gillian Dick. I'm the Spatial Planning Manager, Research and Development at Glasgow City Council, and I'm going to talk to you about how we used our open space strategy to look at co-production and collaboration with our communities. So what do we mean by co-production before we dive into it? What I understand that to mean is working collaboratively with people. So listening to what communities say, understanding what their desires are and finding ways that they can express that. Because normally what we do is we send out a consultation or we send out a survey and we sit and we wait for people to come back. And co-production is a bit more interactive than that. It gives people opportunities to tell us what they think without having to be able to write things down in a way that they feel uncomfortable or sit in a room where they feel uncomfortable. I'm going to talk to you about our co-production. Some of that we use nature-based solutions, and we often talk about a place-based approach using nature-based solutions to get a climate adaptive community. Our overarching strategic plan is called the City Development Plan. You can see a slide of that on the picture of it on the screen at the minute, and you can get it if you just search Development Plan Glasgow. There are links around that you can find. But what we've actually used is our open space strategy. Now that's taking that place-based approach and it's trying to show the community how we use our open space, whether it's blue, grey or green, to create a healthy and high quality place and a compact city. So that's a walkable city, or the 15-minute, 20-minute city you hear coming from Paris, and the Scottish Government have been talking about 20-minute cities as well. Like most cities around the world, we say we want a vibrant, thriving, connected and green place. And we try to do that with the various policies that we have within our development plan about placemaking, having a sustainable spatial strategy, and then we've got 10 other policies below it. Our co-production strengths when we used our open space strategy was about how we demonstrated that the nature-based solutions could contribute to the wider objectives of the council. So that healthier, vibrant, thriving place, we can do that if we not only understand the amount of open space that we've got, but also the quality of those spaces. So whereas in the past we would have counted and said, look, we've got 2,000 hectares of open space, we can now start to say, well, we've got this amount of green, this amount of blue, and this amount of grey. We can also explain to the community what that is. And then we start talking to the community and collaborating with them to identify what's fit for function. So it's all very well having an open space that you say, there you go, there's a great open space at the bottom of your street. But if the community don't feel safe in it, they don't feel it's for them, and they don't feel the kit that's there is safe, they're not going to use it. And they're still going to say to us, we don't have enough open space. And that became really, really clear at the start of the pandemic, when in Scotland, everybody was told to go for a walk. And we realised that some of our more deprived communities, or our communities that were living more densely packed, had limited access to either private open space within their back courts or their shared gardens, or to public open space that they felt safe in. So a lot of the co-production that we've done before the pandemic used a lot of guerrilla techniques. We produced a postcard book that had all the different things we wanted the open space to do, and we left them in cafes around the city. Now that was a book of about 50 postcards. You could rip out the postcard for the area, the thing that you wanted to tell us about. It had a nice picture on it. You could keep the picture if you wanted as a prompt, or you could turn it over, write your comments and stick it in the postbox for free. We've talked with our co-produced or our strategy with partners and communities. So we've tried to talk to the key agencies. So that would be Scottish Environmental Protection Agency, Nature Scotland, Green Space Scotland, about what they think open space should deliver. We've particularly paid cognizance to what Public Health Scotland, National Health Service have said about the benefits of being outside. And we've tried to capture people's lived experience. So we've gone into growing spaces and said to the charities that worked in those growing spaces, why does this space work for you? We experimented that in Bellahouston, where we talked to charities that were dealing with people who had had head injuries, and they said it really gave people confidence to be able to talk to others, to learn in what felt like a safe environment that wasn't overwhelming for them. We've done a bit of stakeholder mapping, where we've tried to find out where the growing spaces are, where the good quality spaces are, and where people go. And we're currently working with Glasgow University using Google data data, that walking data that goes onto your phone, to look at the routes that people use, to try to see whether parks or open spaces that we think are of good quality are actually being used. Another great thing we used was the business model canvas devised by our colleagues at Trinity College Dublin. They thought they were just doing it to capture what business ideas you could have for a pub. Actually turned into a really good community conversation tool, because people could have a debate about who benefits from this. What could we sell? How could we make money in this space? So it was really good to see both the Folk and Drum Chapel and Folk and Bellahouston use that. The final kind of strength is, as we capture that data, we can lay that on a GIS map, and we can start to use that to identify targets. So when our colleagues in parks have said, we want to improve a park, we said, why do you want to improve it? We want to improve the parks that give better access to the 10% most deprived communities. And we want to improve those parks that don't have really good kit. We can run that data across the map and identify targets for them. So what have we achieved? Well, we're talking to each other more, we're collaborating more. There's a better understanding of what open spaces should deliver, not only professionally within the council and what we want them to deliver, but what communities want from them. We've linked that in our open space strategy objectives into our development plan, and more critically into the climate plan that the council developed as it declared a climate emergency. We've managed to get nature-based solutions mentioned in the draft National Planning Framework for Scotland. I sadly counted it with a word count, it's mentioned 24 times. That means that we can then start to address the accusations of greenwashing, because we can start to talk about what nature-based solutions delivered in a place-based approach actually does. So we work with about 15 charities and very small companies to look at developing various ideas, from creating safe circular spaces that medical professionals could come out of hospitals into the open space that the hospital's got to talk to each other, socially distanced, but because it's a circle you can see everybody, to educational programs that use the things that you find in the ground to have that education. And we've continued to build the data sets that we have and started to visualize those so people can actually ask them out rather than guessing what data is around. Hopefully that gives you a summary of what we've done. We haven't that hasn't been a smooth sailing all the way along. We have hit barriers, we have hit problems where people have said, why do I have to ask the map? Why do I have to give you our data? Why are you asking me these questions? But as we've kind of talked to people and we've explained and we've given them something back, they've been more willing to collaborate with us, and it's broken down those silo walls, and it's creating a better open space strategy and a better community and a better environment for the majority of our citizens in Glasgow to live within. And for those that visit Glasgow, they're coming to see a better environment that they can connect with better, that's doing a lot for the social cohesion, their mental health and well-being, gives us opportunities to look at green economy, improves the environment, and improves the biodiversity. Thank you.